Joining me on the line is Ryan of the Tag Rope magazine, who they have a really special project going on right now. But Ryan, how are you doing, man? How's it going across the pond?
I'm doing very well. It's not too great weather-wise over here, but thanks very much for having me. I appreciate being on.
Of course. Before we get into this, I think we've mentioned this on Twitter. We've had people sending questions, and really one of the biggest questions that we got was the tag rope. How did you start it, or how was it started, and then how did you get connected to Will Ospreay to begin with?
Sure. Yeah, very much a victim of circumstance as to how this all come about. So the tag rope, for people who are not aware, it's a little project of mine that I set up about 2 years ago. It was in university, and my final assignment was to create a 16-page magazine. So, being in my final year, I had naturally tried to make everything as possible about wrestling because why not? Hey, it stands out. It's rad. Like, we all know the ins and outs of wrestling. We know how interesting it can be. So I ran with that, and the tag group was born. 2 years later, we've just released issue 9. We've bolstered ourselves up to about 52 pages, full A4, full glossy, and we've just recently worked with Paul Heyman on our most recent issue, which is incredible. It's been an absolute wild ride, and yeah, the other project, which is quite possibly the bane of my life right now, is by young Will Ospreay. So we are currently in the midst of producing a documentary on Will Ospreay and his rise to the best of the Super Juniors. And we first met him, must have been about 2 years ago again, when a group of my friends, they were doing a university project of their own. So kind of swings and roundabouts. And they had to put together a 30-minute feature documentary. Now, again, being the sort of guy that I am to try and rope myself into projects, I said, hey, do it about wrestling because, that's what I'm trying to do everything about, apparently. So we went to a Southside wrestling show, and Will would have been about 21 here, who's maybe middle of the card. And we were pretty much, for all intents and purposes, we were interviewing as many people as we could just to get as much content. And I had seen Will a couple of months prior wrestle a guy called Mark Andrews. I had an absolutely blistering match, and I found out later that he was only 21, which quite frankly made me physically sick. So I went over to him. I said, hey, it's nice to meet you. We're shooting some interviews today. Would you mind having a chat? And he looked all of us down the eye and he said, me, nobody ever wants to talk to me. So to put you in that scene, that was 2014, and now 2 years from now, he's standing at the precipice of global stardom, and it's been so incredible to watch his journey, and we've been there for the ride, and that's how the documentary came to life.
It seems like some of the footage you guys have up on the Kickstarter, I mean, just really great footage. How is there something that that you have connections to guys like maybe doing film stuff because it's really well produced, and I think that's a major importance here because we've seen a lot of wrestling documentaries come out over the years, and sometimes let's be honest, some of them not as good as others.
Sure, and well, firstly, thank you very much for the compliment. It means a lot to us, and so it's the same film crew the entire time throughout the 2 year project, from the university project originally to where we are now. And a lot of the times we've been fortunate enough to be in places at the right time and in the right place. So, for example, the Inside the Ropes show that hosted Paul Heyman back in June. So we were there that day to, as I mentioned before, work with Paul Heyman, conduct an interview of sorts. And if you want to watch him grill me for 5 minutes on camera, you can see that youtube.com/the tag group. But so we were there and we heard rumblings that Paul wanted to do something with Will, who was attending that night as, Paul's personal guest. And he was being very coy. Nobody knew. Even the co-host, Kenny McIntosh, didn't have a clue. And he was sat on stage when Paul Heyman brought Will onto the stage, completely unscripted. And that's when Paul Heyman offered Will a contract with Evolve Wrestling. So absolutely monumental moment in this guy's career, and we were fortunate enough to be there for it. And in terms of the actual production values, we're very aware of how wrestling can be presented. It can be, ultimately, we didn't want to do anything that would come across as Bush League. The entire ethos of the tag rope from day one has always been to challenge the grain and to make things better than it can be. Whether that's from the magazine, whether that's from our articles, our interviews, or the documentary, everything we want to do, we want to do it the right way, and we want to do it in a way where, well, ultimately, we're all fans of wrestling, and we want to make stuff that we will enjoy watching, because we live in a time where there's so much access to everything. Any show anywhere in the world can be, a fan can take out a mobile phone and it can immediately be worldwide within seconds. So if we're going to do something, we want to do it right. And, hopefully people can enjoy it.
What was that like? I mean, this was another question that we got asked. How was that like being up there with Paul Heyman? I mean, we know his history in the business, the importance that he has had, but also the kind of difference. Even though, yeah, he was part of the WWE, he still is very well known for his ECW stuff and always kind of that rebellious character. Even the one that he portrays now, he's Paul Heyman, the manager of Brock Lesnar, but it just doesn't feel all the time that he's a corporate guy, and he isn't, given how he works. So how was that being up on the stage with him, getting to work on a project with him?
So Paul Heyman is an absolute maestro. There's no other word to describe it. I met him that day earlier, and immediately he bursts into the room and he grabs everybody's attention, whether he wants to or not. He's an absolute figurehead. He's one of the most influential minds in professional wrestling's history. So to be beside him, we have the lights set up, we have the camera, we have the sound. We're about to get rolling, and immediately when he comes over and sits down, he starts tweaking things. He says, "Are you sure you want that light there? Are you sure it's not going to cast a shadow? Is the boom mic okay?" Everything like that, the sound. And I was so impressed. I was so blown away, because that's a real producer. That's somebody who, even after so many years in the business, still cares so much about the finer details. Again, perhaps to a fault, but that's why I feel like he's so successful. So to work with him, both in the interview and in this issue of the magazine, it's been incredible. And in the interview itself, it may have just been him grilling me for 5 minutes, but goddamn if I didn't learn a lot in those 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, the amount of knowledge that he can pass on, pretty great. So why don't we start talking about this Kickstarter project? Right up there, you can check it out, kickstarter.com/project/the tag rope. Obviously, details will be in the newscast and all that. But so it mentions that the film itself, and you don't want to have to give away anything you don't want to, because I'm super intrigued about where this ends up. But it seems like the story is going to culminate in January 27 at Wrestle Kingdom 11, and this seems to be the main reason why you guys needed some funding. So, when did that come up? How did you decide, Kickstarter was the best route to go?
Yeah, and okay, so with Kickstarter, cards on the table, I fought against launching a crowdfunding campaign for so long. I did not want to do it. I did not want to. You see these sort of stories of people on Kickstarter. They start out as heroes, and within 6 months they're villains, and they're absolutely completely ostracized. And especially with wrestling projects, we've all seen projects on Kickstarter go horrendously wrong. So I'm so adamantly against it. Ultimately, to get the funding through the correct methods, through the correct avenues, it would take months, perhaps years. And as you said, the deadline we put on ourselves is Wrestle Kingdom 11, the Tokyo Dome, when Will presumably performs in front of a crowd up to 40, 50,000. It's monumental. It's the perfect closing chapter to a story that ultimately is still ongoing. I think we can all see the direction that Will is going ahead, and you could argue maybe we shouldn't have started this documentary until a couple of years later to see where he is then, but I really feel like these early years are absolutely critical for Will's tale, and Will will be the first person to tell you he's not fully sure who the aerial assassin is yet. He's not fully sure who Will Ospreay is. So to see this all come to life and see the struggles that he's going through, it's a fascinating story, and it's one I'm really, really passionate to tell. So we do need to get to Japan. That is the sort of underlying uh, method for the Kickstarter. That's the reason for it. And yeah, so we really want to do it the right way. So we've got tons of rewards. We've got Will's personal help. He's been absolutely phenomenal throughout the entire process. And we're just trying to do it again, to go back to what I said earlier, we're trying to do it in the right way.
Is there a lot of questions also kind of circled around? So the big announcement, the Reach for the Sky tour for Ring of Honor, Will Ospreay being a part of that, and a lot of talk about Ring of Honor breaking out a contract for him, or at least helping out with visa stuff. Will there be some Ring of Honor footage? Have you guys contacted them, or is that just not a possibility right now?
So Ring of Honor, they are coming over to the UK in late November, I believe. They're running
Yes.
Liverpool, Leicester, and London. So we are hoping to be a part of the Reach for the Sky tour. Contact has been made with Ring of Honor, and negotiations are underway. But that's at this stage all I can say about it right now.
Oh, that's totally fair. I think that's exciting. And hey, no matter what, I think many of our listeners understand. Ring of Honor is a different company now. It's not, to put it deploratively, it's not just a regular indie, quote unquote. So, kind of
No,
different
of course,
than
of
going to
course.
Progress Wrestling, for example, and being able to meet with the guy who can just give you a straight up yes or no. So, but that's exciting. So let's talk about some of the rewards, because I think we got one or two questions that were just basically asking. They're kind of confused about the Kickstarter in terms of, so you have right up there, really great though, a lot of the explanations of what the rewards are. But we got questions about, is there going to be a way? We're assuming you're putting this out there maybe as a movie, to different festivals and stuff, because there's no mention of, oh hey, you're gonna get a DVD package or something like that. And honestly, since we can answer that, Ryan, what's going on with that?
Bingo, and I'm very, very glad you asked that. So ultimately, the long-term plan for this documentary slash feature-length film, however you want to phrase it, the ultimate plan for it is to get it distributed. And because of the way that film festivals and things like that work, they want to deal with, we want to be, the exclusive. We want to be the person who shows it for the first time. So the reason we can't offer DVDs is because we have to go through those sort of checks and balances. The good thing is, however, whilst we can't physically give you the documentary, what we can do is invite you to a couple of wink wink test screenings where we show you the film, and ultimately, your feedback will help shape how the final edit comes together. So we can do this online. So I believe if you donate £10, that gets you the online film, and you can watch it. You can watch it with all of us, and we're really looking to make these events pretty special. We're trying to, really, have some fun with them. So those are the online ones. And also, if you are based in the UK, we will be running London, Newcastle, and I believe London, Newcastle, and Manchester.
Yeah, it says Manchester on there.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll be running those three cities, and we'll be renting out theaters. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to them, because will be attending all three screenings. There'll be a special Q&A before. There's a VIP if you want to go that far. And yeah, I mean, you never know who might show up.
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty awesome. It does mention also there's a lot of cool looking posters here, and like I said, I encourage everyone to go check out the Kickstarter project, and some really awesome T-shirts as well. So there's one poster here, and I believe that's at the 50-pound level. Who did you get to draw that for you guys? I think it looks pretty. I mean, there is a cooler poster also with an obvious mug shot of Will Ospreay and a cool font in the background, all that stuff. But some of the artwork on here, it's pretty great looking.
Oh, thank you very much. It's very we've got our stereotypical action hero movie poster, and then we've got something a little bit more artistic as well. Again, fortunately, through the magazine and running that for the last 2 years, I've been blessed to work with some really talented and creative graphic designers and artists. So the sort of stereotypical movie poster one that you've seen, that was done by a very good friend of mine, Kieran Ridley, off of La Di La. Quality graphic designer, and we are so thrilled with how it came out. And the other one that's up there as well, that's by a guy called Pedro Carvalho of Brazil. So he works with a studio called Rainmaker Inc. Which I guess is sort of apt. And yeah, we're so pleased with how both of them came out, and we are still hoping to get one more T-shirt design up there. It's currently in the works, so it is, but yeah, we're hoping to get that up in the next couple of weeks or so.
Is that the same Rainmaker guy that I think he's done work with you guys and with Voices of Wrestling? Like he does a lot of graphic designs.
Yes, that's the very
Okay,
same.
awesome.
We've been working with him for a pretty long time now. I think we're on our sixth issue together.
Fantastic. So yeah, everyone, just a lot of cool little things here and there. Like you said, having some of these rewards up there. Was it hard to determine what to give out in terms of price? You know, because hey, there's been a lot of projects out there, crowdfunded wise. Some of them came to fruition, like the Nigel McGuinness project, which I thought was really cool, and then other ones that did not. How hard was it for you to decide at what level of contribution were certain rewards going to be given?
Do you know what? It was a nightmare. I would say honestly, it probably took 2 months filled with meetings, spreadsheets, everything, because we don't want to shaft anyone out of money, but we also obviously we want to reach our targets, but we really want to offer something unique, like something that can really uh, be a memento from the film, and you can look at it and say, "Hey, look, I got this film made. Like it's because of me and my generosity and just being the rad person I am." So one of my personal favorite rewards that's up there, we like to call it flash drive roulette. So what we do, we're getting a ton of USB sticks, and if you hit this reward, then basically we're going to fill this USB stick with behind the scenes footage, exclusive shots, everything, and each flash drive is going to be completely individual to the person. So this is stuff that only you and the production crew will ever see. So that's something I really like, and I think that's a really cool memento that it's personalized.
Is there, kind of speaking up, you've had Will Ospreay, you've had AJ Styles do a lot of stuff, and I encourage everyone to check out the interviews you mentioned already up on your YouTube page. Is there any, I guess, kind of extra stuff that you're filming for this documentary, such as people talking about Will Ospreay, or is it all just the journey of Will Ospreay himself?
Yeah, so one of the things we've really tried to shy away from is sort of sticking to the stereotypical WWE DVD documentary style of, the rise and rise of insert name here. So we don't want to open up the film with baby pictures and, parents saying, oh, well, he loved wrestling from the age of 3 or whatever. Well, we don't want to do that. So one of the things we are trying to do sort of with our interviews with, the aforementioned names like AJ Styles, etc., we want to sort of touch upon not just, hey, is Will a good wrestler, or hey, is this? It's more, look, he's young, he's 23 years old. Some people would argue he does things too fast. Some people would argue this, et cetera, et cetera. We really want to get in behind the theology of wrestling. Like, there's always this balance between doing too much, but getting your name out there at the risk of personal health, and then doing enough, but then perhaps languishing and never being noticed. So it's a really interesting balance. I hope we're gonna really tap into throughout the movie.
All right. Well, yeah, no, it sounds awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, good luck with all of that. And yeah, last, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about this project. But anything else you want to say? Last drive to get people to donate to the project.
Last try. Okay, so right now we're about a third of the way through funding, which is absolutely mind blowing. Like honestly, I'm one of these guys that absolutely worries myself into absolute fit. So I'm completely shocked that we've got this far, and I really just want to see how far we can take it. I know we're on to something good here. I know what we're doing is really, really strong. I know it'll, stand the test of time, and it's something that we can. I know wrestling fans will enjoy it, but I really want people who aren't into wrestling to watch it and hopefully enjoy it, because we're really going to try and tell the story in a way that everyone can appreciate. We're not going to, belittle you with terms like heel, face, mark, none of that. We really want to tell just a real story, because, Will's this unbelievably nice guy who he's got the world at his feet. It's an incredible story, and I'm so excited to tell it. So what I would say, look, just go to the Kickstarter and watch the trailer. It's 3 minutes and 23 seconds long. After it, you've got us jabbering on about, we need money. But just watch the trailer, and, hopefully you enjoy it. That's all I could ask.
There you go. Well, thank you again, Ryan. We really appreciate it. And as always, we like to give a chance for our guests to give plugs. Where can people follow the Tag Rope on social media, website, and all that good stuff?
Okay, pen and paper out, people. You can go to thetagrope.com, where we've just released issue 9. That's the Paul Heyman collab issue. We've got tons of stuff in there, including an interview with Rey Mysterio. So that's thetagrope.com. You can follow us on Twitter at TagRopeMag, and I'd encourage you as well to check out at Ospreay Film for all the updates on the Kickstarter. And finally, if you do want to help us out, it's kickstarter.com/projects/the tagrope/Ospreay. It's a bit of a mouthful, so just go to Ospreay Film and you'll find it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Ryan. Appreciate the time.
Thanks very much, Chris. All the best.